Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Finance meeting for November 5th, 2025. I am Michael Anderson, the chair. I'm here with Dan Smith, vice chair, Carl Johnston, Sarah Nelson, Lou Gingerella, and Winona Burdine. And on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry for the delay. We had a little technical difficulties as usual. I'll take any public comment to start. Any hands raised online? Can we see? Okay. Seeing none there, we'll move right on to agenda item number 4, appropriation request to pay down capital debt by the Board of Selectmen.
Thanks, Mike. Bob Carlson for Selectmen. If I can ask you a favor, we are actually giving the appropriation to you to consider, but can you maybe explain quickly to those in the audience how does this even come about? And I would also like, if I can ask another favor, can someone from the Board of Finance be at the town meeting to explain it there too? Because I think it's a Board of Finance initiative. I think it's a great initiative. I think it'd be something nice from the Board of Finance, the chair, vice chair, somebody.
I'm planning to be there for sure.
Perfect. That'd be great. But as far as this tonight, yes, I'm asking for the appropriation, but maybe we can just give a little quick why we're even here asking for it.
Sure. Probably 3 or 4 meetings ago, we were looking at the level of the undesignated fund. Given what was left over last year and how we have a very healthy undesignated fund to begin with. If anyone doesn't know, we have a policy in place. If you have any questions about that, you can look in the last fall quarterly. I kind of did a undesignated fund 101, whereby we have an upper ceiling of 17%. If we go above that, we're supposed to, per policy, put in place some way to pay that down so we're not carrying too much of the taxpayers' money. So given in Bob and Suzanne Thoreau monitor our undesignated policy regularly, we get reports, and we were going to be over the threshold by roughly 700,000. And we voted as a board to direct the Board of Selectmen to determine what capital needs could be paid down with that 700,000 to either limit what's going to be on this coming budget season for capital. Some things are on recurring lease payments. Some are recurring, money that we're paying in to buy something at the end. So they went back and looked through their capital plan, which we've been working on for the last 3 years. And they came up with these items to meet that roughly $700,000 spend down. And it's to benefit the taxpayer.
Great.
Go ahead,
Thank
Carl.
you. That's perfect. Thank you.
Doesn't that also, within that, wasn't there in our form of government for us that says that we have to either give in form of cutting down the mill rate or buying down debt? So what we're doing is buying down debt.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
there's
there's three ways we use the undesignated fund. Obviously, emergencies, unforeseen emergencies, stabilizing the mill rate. We use it during the budget season. We've done it in the last 2 years so we didn't have a mill rate increase, and last year we used it to actually lower the mill rate. pay down debt. And we're going to talk about some policy changes tonight and, things that come up where we need to use it for appropriations, unforeseen appropriations, basically.
Thank you. So what the Board of Selectmen came up with was looking at the short-term debt, which is, most of it was vehicles, the 2024 loader, $61,688 per year in payments, where our next payment would be payment 3 of 4. The hook lift truck, number 17, $83,208. Next payment was payment 3 of 3. The 10-wheel plow truck, $81,070. Next payment was year 3 of 4. The storage replacement of the oil tanks that are in the ground at the highway garage, that we're putting $50,000 a year each year. So we have $200,000 more to put aside for that. And then the North Stonington Ambulance Association, that was a 5-year lease. We're in payment 3 of 5, and that payment was $34,500. Grand total, if we paid all this off, was $672,224. Of which the good news is we just get a payoff figure. If we pay these before December 15th, we'll save another $32,000 plus in interest fees. So what I'd like to do is keep this number the same, because when we get close to bring the tanks out of the ground, we don't know if it's still a $300,000 quote. That'll protect us if it is. So I don't have to come back for another appropriation. The other thing is we talked to the Ambulance Association, the fire company, and the highway garage. We said, if we do this, we're sticking with our 5, 10, and 30-year plans. We're not moving any vehicles up. So we're going to take a 1, 2, or 3-year hiatus from some of these things in our capital budget, so bring our capital budget down. That was the idea behind it. So what I'm looking for is an appropriation, $672,224 from the Board of Finance. If approved, I'll take it to the town meeting on November 24th.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve appropriation request of $672,224 from the undesignated fund for these capital items.
Second.
Further discussion?
Point of order, who's secretary, and is anyone seated for our missing
Thank you.
members?
Thank you, Winona. Gary had requested that you be seated in his stead. And
Do you also want to add to that any refunds come back is designated to what he just suggested? In other words, he says if we pay down quick, he's got a $32,000 credit coming. That $32,000 he wants to put towards the,
If needed.
if needed.
Yeah, if the increase was 300,000 2 years ago, now it's 325,000. Of course, any additional monies will come back to the undesignated fund at the end.
Okay, so we're fine then. I'm sorry, misunderstood.
we do need someone to take minutes.
Wynonna raised her hand.
What's that?
She raised her hand.
You're,
I will volunteer for tonight only. I'll sacrifice.
thank you. So moving on, further discussion with regard to the motion.
So just to be clear, we're not amending the motion. So the motion is to approve it as it's written or as it is here, the 672,224.
Yeah, and that number is exactly what's on the budget. Those are the budgeted numbers. So obviously, when we have a savings to interest savings, this number will actually be less that we'll need, but we may need some of it to pay the increase if there is one in the moving of the tanks.
Right. So it's not to exceed this number.
Exactly.
If you have savings that on the interest payments, that will be used for any overages.
The only thing they could be used for would be if the quotes come back, which we're getting now for moving the tanks from below the ground to above the ground. Can't be used for anything but that. And then of course, any extra money will go back to the undesignated fund at the end. Dan?
So is that specifically for line item C123?
Correct.
All right, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Is Carl seated? For,
Carl, it doesn't switch
oh,
until
Carl, okay,
the 19th,
yes.
so
all right.
So Mike, if you can just sign one for me, I'll take it with
I'm
me
signing
later.
right now.
Thank you.
And 6. Okay.
Like,
Yes.
Have you had any correspondence from Board of Education or Superintendent as far as their expenses coming up from what they have come up with through the stuff?
I did text Stephanie Mastriani last week to see if they wanted to be on the agenda for the 19th they have an approved October P and L that I'd like to have them talk about. And then there's questions about what the cybersecurity is cost and or will cost. And I did get some information from her, but it's not, she didn't want to, it's not,
Yep.
They have a meeting coming up.
So they haven't discussed it
They
yet.
haven't really fully discussed it yet, and I think there'd be additional items discussed at the next Board of Education meeting. So I know that many of us do attend those meetings, and I encourage that. I think it's for the the 10th. And then I plan to have whoever the new chair is, and I'm going to request that Troy be here for that meeting on the 19th.
All right. Okay, that's good for me.
We don't have any specifics. And I will have them email us out specifics before that meeting of what they plan to bring forth.
All right, so that would, hopefully that would also include what might happen in the future if they have an idea what's going on.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And probably another part of that discussion needs to be with either the new chair or whatnot is the closeout of their year. We're getting the mixed signals of, no, they're in the works, or no, it's delayed. I know you and Winona and I have talked about is like, when are they closing their books? And there is no set time.
I think probably the cybersecurity issue has maybe changed that landscape. So I think, on this topic, which is not on the agenda, we will have discussions about all of that at the next meeting. I'd like to have the library come up for agenda item number 5.
We are here to answer any questions you have after reviewing our submission.
Right, and thank you for doing that.
Mhm.
So and Carl, you had an additional question that was already answered. Was that answered as well? That was on the service, I think.
Yeah, the service was all answered in there. The only other concern, which I did not get a chance to get back to, I'm sorry, was to figure out, or if they have figured out an idea that if the area was to be shut down for 5 or 6 days, how would you support heat or supply to keep stuff from freezing the building? Suggestion I would have would be when you wire it to a small sub panel that would carry just enough for heat and make that accessible with a manual transfer to plug a smaller generator or properly sized generator outside without having you to spend $1 million for one to carry the whole building.
Mhm.
So that would have been the only other question. And then off the top of my head, again, I don't know if it was even mentioned in there, was the security for the back of the elevator.
Mhm.
Was, I think I told you guys a year ago, was to check on putting cameras and an answering system so they could see who was down there.
Yeah, we
Okay.
had a line in the cost estimate for security, fire, all of that.
Thank you.
Do we have any specific questions with regard to the answers provided? On the date of that email from October 31st. Okay.
Item 18, just to kind of tie this together. It has to do with how much of a reserve will be held against contractors
Mhm.
and timing of that. I understand that you'll have a project manager that will be making sure that project doesn't get net over bill.
Mhm.
So that's good. We're looking at the retainage, and it says 5% retainage typical, still the maximum allowed by Connecticut statute. Which I didn't know that there was a Connecticut statute to that effect. But on the grant document, it has the grant holds back 10% of the grant. So I guess my initial, you'll be prepared to handle that additional 5% because you're going to be short that to pay people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that is going to be accounted for. I know what you're saying is that above the $4 million, we're going to need to float until we get that final reimbursement.
Right.
Right. And so this is something that but at this point has not been completely decided and strategized, but we are aware of the fact that this is something we need to account for.
And it dovetails back into item 16 on your answer about the interim funding with any shortfalls during the construction. And you've given any consideration of getting a line of credit to help with those shortfalls?
I think it's a great idea. We have a board meeting coming up next week, and it's something that we're going to discuss at that board meeting. And I really appreciate the suggestion. I think it's a very good idea.
I think the bank might be pretty warm to that question.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got some money in there.
Yeah,
so
we do with
it's not a big
Washington
risk for
Trust.
that. So
Yep.
that's
Mhm.
great. Good. But thank you for your answers on the rest of the questions
Mhm.
that I had. I understand the one about the detailed cash flow. You can't do that until you know
Right.
exactly, but I just trust that that's going to happen.
Mhm.
That's what
Absolutely.
you
Yep.
need to do. Thank you for your answer.
Mhm.
As a board, I feel like we should maybe attach this set of questions and answers as part of the minutes, just so it's available. As part of the record. It's a correspondence that's very pertinent to, what the public would want to know. So I think we're going to have that available as part of the minutes. Additional questions? Go
So
ahead.
I'm not sure if it could, or our funds would become available. Or would we done that in the past?
As far as from the town, if it gets
Right.
voted in?
Mhm.
One thing we wanted to make clear was that this is a matching grant. So the $2 million needs to be matched by, $2 million. And we project that this project is going to be done within a 1-year period. We do not start getting reimbursed from the Connecticut State Library grant until 50% of the project is completed. So we are going to need the $2 million that are matching, as soon as the project begins, we're going to have front-loaded a lot of expenses right off the bat. In terms of the town distributing if we do get monies from the town, distributing monies to the library, we don't see it as an opportunity to, distribute year one and year two. The $1 million, if that's what the town supports this project with, would be due within the period of probably 6 months from the start of the project. I'm imagining. So in terms of like splitting it up into two pieces over 2 years, that's not going to be something that we think is going to be possible.
Okay,
Because the project is gonna take 1 year.
Mhm.
so is there gonna be a kind of an accounting system of what is being expended from the
Yes.
town process? Because it's up to $1 million, so if you do get reimbursed and the project comes in under budget,
Oh,
and,
yes.
and you didn't need to do that,
Right.
and, I understand if you have to use the cash,
Mhm.
but on the accounting side, once you get reimbursed, if, obviously we'd like to be on the back end, for the up to 1
Yeah,
million.
total transparency, that it will be
Okay.
a monthly accounting. All expenses have to be approved and signed off from the architect before they're submitted. So yes, that'll be something the Board of Finance will also have access to.
Okay.
That would, I think it might be important for us to, for our money, not the rest, anybody else's, that we'd be a participant in the release of our funds. To make sure that with the project management, in tandem with them,
Mhm.
exactly how we would do that, I think we can work that out. But I think we need to know if the project is progressing. Say we give 500,000, that the contractors have actually done more than $500,000 worth of work before we do that. It's not unusual for contractors to be overbilled on a project. They've done 40% of the work and they bill for 60%. It's very common. In fact, that's how some construction companies make their money, is investing in the difference. So that's how I think we might, if we're needing to go in first, I mean, ideally, I know this can't happen based on what you told us with the state. It'd be ideal, if we could put our money in last. But I think we're going to be putting our money in first.
You and the
And the
library.
Yeah, I don't mean to
Mhm.
diminish that, right?
Mhm.
Right. So, yeah, so that, and again, that's one of the reasons why I thought, the idea about getting some
Yep.
support from your bank would be a good thing to do. And I understand it, but it's also the riskiest part of the project.
It's true.
I mean, just, yeah, so, going in, understanding that, if you could be part of the review of the level of funding that the contractors were requesting. I think might be important.
I got a quick question with that. Is there some type of guarantee that the state is actually gonna, does the state set the money aside in a fund? Or do they wait until you request it again after we've already spent 2 million and we don't have any more state money coming?
So I
What's-
can answer that.
Okay.
So first of all, this is the accounting system that's required by the state to be, for every single receipt to be
Just if
billed.
you could speak into the mic for the
Oh, I'm
people.
sorry. So because this is a state grant, it's very, very highly regulated by the state, right? So for every single receipt, even a doorknob, everything has to be kept in charge, or we do not get reimbursed for it, right? So we have to fill out the forms. We have to pay ahead first. And then you saw that 50% of the money, which will be $1 million, will come to us at the 50% mark of the completion of the project. That can only be certified by the architect on record. They don't let the construction company certify that. Back to your question about the construction company billing ahead, right?
Right. No.
So and the architect of record is chosen specifically by the state for the obvious reason. They have the most at risk, like they could use their license, they have the oversight of it. So that would be Henry Meyerberg that will be doing that. He will do the final sign off on all the forms. That gets given to the state at 50%. And then they reimburse us $1 million at that point. So that money, that money, your money and the library's money has to be the first amount of money that comes in. The way the construction costs are going, the bell curve is at the first third of the 1-year project is the most expensive part of the project, right? We're getting all the equipment, all the HVAC work is being done. So that's why we need the money upfront also, because that's where all the money starts going in. And then we get reimbursed at the 50%. Then again, 40%, right? So there is a nice chunk of money there. And then that final 10% is held back. So until we get a sign off certificate of occupancy.
No, that's a great system, and I think it will
You
work
can
well.
be a party to all of this,
Well, I
you
mean,
guys. Yeah, I mean, so you can see every single, there's no way that we can hide, every single receipt has to be visible or we don't get reimbursed for it. We want it to be visible because we want to be reimbursed, right? It's so,
It's true,
transparent.
But I agree with doing all of that and having the receipts and everything. And you do have to rely on your architect to work on this, because it's really difficult for you to say, for the architect and the contractor to agree that they're at the 50% mark. 'Cause
And-
inevitably, the contract will say, I'm at the 60% mark, and that's where the rub is, but.
don't forget the state library also has input in that. Like they will look at all the receipts and they'll also say, oh, this doesn't look like this is a 50% mark, you know? And also Henry Meyerberg has worked with 3 or 4 other libraries with this state grant
Oh, I'm sure they
specifically.
got all sorts of. Right.
Yeah.
It's, but just part of that, those receipts are going to be hours worked and percentage worked on the project. So there's a whole percentage of completion accounting system that goes into this. And so that's where you need to really rely on your architect to make sure you don't get over that.
Correct. And the state library grant is, and we were, dealing with that too, like what is 50% completion?
Right.
It's actually a financial figure, right?
Mhm.
So it's when 50% of the money has been spent and used. So not the project completion.
So I have a quick one. Are you guys being required by the state of Connecticut to use prevailing wage?
Yes. So that's an important question, even though the entire job won't be, paid by the grant. If you get a state grant or a federal grant, you must use prevailing wages. Even if you get a tiny grant to do your sidewalk, then the entire project has to be done in prevailing wages. So
Okay.
it will be prevailing wages,
And
which
you
is,
guys, and you guys
fair.
are maintaining those records and everything
Yep.
yourselves?
yeah, well, that's also done by the construction company. I mean, whoever
We-
wins the bid, it has to go up for bid as
It's got to
well.
go out the bid, but who's auditing those numbers after, making sure those are accurate?
That will be these forms.
Okay.
Like that's going to be all the, working with the contractor.
The state will go through
State,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also, they have all these standards about choosing, who wins the bid based on,
Oh,
any,
yeah.
if they have a lien against them or something, they have to be within the
Uh-huh.
DAS. You must know that. What is it called when you have to qualify with the state? Yeah,
Pre-qual with the
Yeah.
state, yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. The first one is on item 4 regarding the second bathroom and just the comment that a second bathroom wouldn't impact the septic plans. And I guess I just was wondering if there could be some more color around that, because I guess just logically that didn't make sense to me. Yeah, but I would assume that they would have more people.
It's our understanding that the additional bathroom does not impact what is required for a septic system, which is building occupancy. So the building occupancy isn't going to change. And also, well, that's our understanding, and that's why it doesn't affect the septic.
Kate, I think you better check with, when you go to fill out permits, they're gonna want the Ledge Light or our acting company, check off the record that they were checked on. They may or may not ask you for a copy of the septic system, whether it's up to date or not, or whether it's going.
Well, we
They may or
definitely,
may not be able to make you change it, but just remember that if it does change it, it's gonna be a big impact on you.
yes, we understand.
So
And
that's a question should come up first.
yeah, and
Okay.
we are planning on engaging with Ledge Light. It's just at this point in the project, we have chosen not to because of our understanding.
My next question is around item 13. So I'm going to hop around a little bit here in this document, but my next one is around item 13, which is talking about where you're going to run the library operations during the construction term. So I understand that you have potentially talked to the Board of Selectmen about utilizing other public space in town or town space for that during that time. Do you know how long that time is and what have you had any agreement with the Board of Selectmen about what that time period looks like and if there's any cost sharing involved with what that looks like?
We have spoken to the Board of Selectmen. We're talking about evacuating the library at the beginning of the project. So for the entirety of the project, the library will be relocated. And it'll be, our goal is to continue to serve the public with library materials. And it will probably be something of a hybrid of how we operated during COVID, where we're picking materials and giving them, presenting them for pickup. And some of them will be available to source by the individuals. In terms of costs having to do with using space, we didn't anticipate there being any large costs associated with using the spaces. One of the spaces we're talking about using is this building. And I think one of the other things we talked about in the answer to that question was doing programming on other locations, which is just a few hours in different locations with programming.
Okay, thank you. Another question I had was about, do you expect any of these upgrades to increase your maintenance expenses for that building or utilities, that type of thing, so that your annual expenses will increase year over year after these improvements?
Yeah, well, we did do an analysis of the new heating and cooling system, which was included in your packet last meeting. And that shows a forecast of what the expenses will be for the utilities. There could be some things that could be increased, is perhaps we would be increasing staffing because we have a much more active building and there's more people in the building and we need more staff on different floors. So that might be an anticipated increase in
What about the
operating
green
expenses.
space? Because I know there's a lot of green space anticipated. Who's going to maintain the greenscaping?
We actually, in this project, in the scope, we're not enhancing our green space. This
Okay.
is all the building and the drainage.
Another question is on item 10. So just a clarification, in item 10, you mentioned the ongoing funding from the town being a request of 1.15% of the total municipal budget. And I just want to be clear on whether you are meaning the town budget of what, roughly 26 million, or the $6 million budget. So whenever you're talking about for this fiscal year, would you be looking for 1.15% of the 26 million or 1.15% of 6 million?
It's the total
Of
26, yeah.
So that would be roughly a threefold increase of what was requested and given in the 25 budget season?
Well, for the last 8 years, we've been coming to the Board of Finance asking for that kind of parity that other towns are receiving. And we've been working our way toward that goal. Certainly, we don't expect that, in the next year or even 5 years, we'll be at that goal, but that's what we're working toward.
Okay.
So to be clear, this request isn't contingent upon the town granting the 1.15.
No,
Okay, so that's just a goal of yours.
right.
To try to get from.
Yeah, because we were responding to that idea that our operating budget was going to be increasing due to these enhancements to the building. And we wanted to just, remind the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen that we've been working year over year to try and increase the amount the town is supporting the library with the operating budget to be more in line with what other towns are doing with their libraries.
Okay.
With
So,
association libraries, yeah.
yeah, I think that you guys have mentioned that in the past, that you've done research and that it's a similar number that you've seen.
It's data from the Connecticut State Library. Mhm.
So I have a final question, and this is really related to maybe a charter that you have or something. Do you have a charter that clearly states how you operate within the confines of being a private entity open to the public, that states that you are open to North Stonington residents as a free service to North Stonington? Is that something that exists in writing today?
I believe so. The board members, is that, I mean, we have bylaws, we are, and you can answer that.
By Connecticut State Statute, Wheeler Library is the principal public library for North Stonington. So it has that responsibility and that sort of statutory requirement.
Is that something that you could produce as a document? for this
Absolutely.
board, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have one thing. I think if you guys could check for us and get back to us, that the other libraries that you're using for reference for the town funding, I believe if you check on them, most of those, the buildings in their, all their staff, not their staff, their buildings and their assets are owned by their towns, that the towns are giving the money to support. Right now, I think your library is owned specifically by you, building materials and everything else. So I don't know if we would back to what Wyona just mentioned as far as a guarantee that if we're gonna invest this amount of money for the town of the taxpayers' money, that we have a guarantee that you won't just close up as an entity. I know you won't, I'm just. So in 10, 20 years from now, us guys aren't gonna be here.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking ahead for the town, that there's some type of good paperwork or funding that says all the residents of North Stonington can use the library for whatever things. So that the other taxpayers, some of them don't realize that it's a private entity, they think it's a town entity, would not come back to us later and say, well, you guys gave me the money, well, where's our stuff? So that's what I would just say, if you could check on that.
And that is why I'm requesting that document, because I'd like to see that in writing, that in fact, that guarantee exists, that North Stonington residents are in fact, that guarantee remains open to the public for North Stonington. I'm not worried about other towns or other residents, but this ask is big, and I feel like it has some kind of a DAC period that should be granted to the residents of the town if this is something that is approved.
I'm going to make a quick comment. I do have to unfortunately leave, so you'll have to note me as leaving. But I will say because this question keeps coming up, I did some of my own personal research, which I'm not going to submit here, but we could talk about it at a future meeting if we wanted to. Both on the percentage, I was curious about that. And I was specifically looking at towns similar in parity to ours, like our size, our scale. I found my results to be pretty close to what Kate just referenced, which I thought is interesting. The other thing that was very interesting is the amount of association libraries that came up. There's also hybrid association public libraries. Of all the conversations that we've had over the past couple of years about this, I thought association library was like special and unique to this town. It's not. So I just want to make that comment, right? Like there are plenty of other towns in the same situation as us in supporting. I will tell you, I looked at pictures of every single one of those libraries. None of them is as stately and impressive as ours, just for the record.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I think it's going to be, I've been here for a few budget cycles and I've, heard your presentations every year and the ask and the discussion about what other towns provide. I think, when this ends up going to town meeting and certainly it's questions here too, is if you have to maintain the funding that you're getting now, because it is a big ask, and the expenses go up and you do have more staff, and you're using the endowment now, a big chunk of it for this project, are you confident that you guys are going to be able to still operate with the same amount of funding you get from the town presently?
So we're currently being funded at $100,000 from the
Correct.
town. And I believe year over year that stayed flat the last two budget cycles. Of course, we'll be coming to the town this budget season asking for more, hoping that we'll inch ourselves up toward our goal. But if you're saying that you're foreseeing that in the next budget season, they're going to hold us flat again, we will be able to continue to operate the library. As I said as we said in our response, we do have a healthy endowment, and we're planning on using 600,000 from the endowment, but we will still have enough of income from our interests that we'll be able to supplement our operating budget with the interest from the endowment. We really do run this library on a shoestring, and we're not, suddenly going to be having this, very expensive, increase on how we're running the library. We're still going to be running everything the same way with a more efficient heating and cooling system. We will now be running, to everybody's point, more energy in the building since we're bringing cooling to the second floor. But we've gone through all of this, and yes, there is going to be a somewhat more expensive, not dramatically so, and we do anticipate that that's not going to be an issue for us in terms of meeting our operating budget.
Okay, that's fantastic. I'm anticipating the questions that are
Yeah.
already on people's minds and
Yeah,
that are going to
totally.
be when you present for this project, and it's going to be during the budget process. It's going to be on top of people's minds.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we totally get it. It's a really big expense. We all feel very confident it's the right thing to do for the building and for the longevity of the building, and to continue to be able to offer the most for our community. We're going to be able to use the building more extensively. But we did a renovation 1990. And that was an expensive project. It's the town doesn't own this building, we do as a board, and it's time, to do this upgrade.
Could I ask another question?
Mhm.
Do I understand that you do an outreach every year to North Stonington called the Annual Appeal?
Yes.
How successful is that?
Well, it's a big part of our operating budget. We have, I believe, $77,000 is in our budget this year. No, 80,000. So, and we've been year over year increasing the amount that's coming into our annual appeal.
So 80,000 versus $1 million is a big difference. So do you think that asking the taxpayers in the town to openly give you an annual appeal and you get 80,000 versus going to them for the budget and asking them to give $1 million, if they were to vote on a line item, what do you think the response would be?
I don't think I understand the question.
So you ask them through the annual appeal, you approach them, right? How do you approach them for the annual appeal for the donations?
We write a letter.
So you send a letter to every household that's pretty much a taxpayer in town.
Mhm.
And your response, you're telling me, is a budget of $80,000.
Mhm.
So if you sent that letter this year and you said, hey, we need $1 million because we have a grant and we have a $4 million project that we're trying to lift off the ground, and we're going, and you explain the same thing to the taxpayers that you're here tonight explaining to us, do you think that you could get those same taxpayers that normally give you 80,000 to write you checks to give you $1 million?
I think that's apples and oranges. I think one is supporting a library, a town library, and another is a capital campaign. We put a roof on the building, we put new windows on the building. We've, over the years, we've reached out to both the town to help fund some of those projects. The big project in 1990 was how much from the town? 250,000, and the budget was 750. So
You have raised money for this project.
Yes.
How much did you raise for this project?
So we've raised 400,000. Yeah, this is totally separate from the annual appeal and the operating budget.
I just-
So it was just a question, and I heard some commentary that this is different because it's 1 year versus multiple years. But in reality, we are talking about a 1-year budget. You're not asking for $1 million over 10 years. You're asking for $1 million in a single budget year. So this is something to consider. And it was just simply a question, what do you get for your annual appeal? And you're asking the same taxpayers that are the same people that you're sending your letter to. So it was just a simple question. Thank you.
Just to get really into the weeds here, when do you, it might have been in your presentation that you have, and I don't have, didn't bring my copy. When do you suppose you're going to be going out for contracts?
What's our timeline?
It all depends on when we can say that we have all of our funding.
You want to get
in
the
place.
microphone?
So the grant, all right, then why don't we talk about the grant timeline as far as this, the timing has been.
Well, they have, how many years do you have before the grant's open?
We have 3 years, which we would
Okay,
really not like to wait that long.
so
But we have 3 years to say that we have all of our matching
you've
funding.
got the other money necessary to move forward.
Yes.
And at that time, that's when you're going to go out for bid.
We have to present that to the state library. It has to go through the bond commission to be approved. And then once that is signed, that we have the grant, the funds are available, then we can put that out to get to contract, to bid. Yep.
Okay, so this is what, I mean, so.
You're trying to forecast how long this is
Right,
going to
I'm just
take.
Looking at that and saying.
Yeah.
A little bit to your point. Is that going to take 12 months to do all of that? I mean, I know. this
I
is
hope
gonna
not.
throw-
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I'm trying to, well.
Are you worried about cost overruns? Because it's not a,
Not so
we
much
already-
cost overrun, it's pretty close in. I'm looking more at the timing of things about when you go to bid and then when the town's going to actually have to write a check.
Mhm.
Because if this all goes out to bid in 4 or 5 months, you won't be breaking ground and spending serious money for 6 months after that.
Exactly. Yes.
So as far as this, we're looking at probably a 2-year timeline on funding from the town. We may approve it, much like we looked at the payment to the tanks. This might not be 1 million in one fiscal year. It might be 500 and 500.
it's possible, yeah.
But we
So-
would.
Well, it depends
Doesn't
on,
make it any worse.
Mhm.
right.
It's painful.
The approval part is important though, because we can't even start that process until we have that approval in order to do
Right.
the matching.
Understood.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
get all that, but it's just, I'm looking at it from a cash flow
Yep.
standpoint for us,
Mhm.
that, that would mitigate that.
Yeah.
That hit, $1 million.
Correct. There's a lot of things that could happen between then and
Mhm.
now. It's basically, yes, we're guaranteeing you up to $1 million at a referendum. If it's yes, they can do what they need to do.
Mhm.
The money doesn't have to be in their hands necessarily until you need to spend it.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of fiscal things that could be a year by year thing. If it happened to run between fiscal years. And just, I just wanted to bring this up because, you've met with me, well, this is more for Kate, I guess. I just want to make sure the board knows, like, originally, I met with Kate and Bob in Bob's office 2 years ago to talk about the fact that they were going to try to do this project and what's the process. And other than that, I've not met with anybody yeah, that's, so I'm just for transparency, I haven't guaranteed, I, as a member of the Board of Finance, can't guarantee them any money. I can't guarantee where the money's coming from. And everything is going to go through this board and then through the town. So if there was discussions about, how the undesignated fund works and overages in the undesignated fund, there's been no assurances given by me at all as to where this money is coming from. The town's going to have to approve it, and then where the money comes from, whether it's by bond or out of the undesignated fund, or if we have an overage in the undesignated fund and we decide as a board to use that money, that's going to be a board decision. But, I just wanted everyone to know that, there's been no side conversations with anybody from this board that I know of with the board of the library as to how this is going to be financed.
We just referenced the bond. Are we allowed to bond with something we don't own as a town?
I don't know the answer to that question.
So that's something we've got to check on.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if we're not tied into it, I don't know if we can actually bond against it.
We've looked into that and I
Okay.
think you're right. I don't think you can.
So we'll have to probably definitely come out of the undesignated fund.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to your point, Mike, when we were starting to explore this project, how we're going to have it funded, how much the town can support this project, it was just a fact finding from our end, like
Correct.
how would this get funded? And, these various ideas were all floated. We all talked about it. We did some exploring about a bond. I think Bob kind of dug into that a little bit. So yeah, but we were pretty much told very explicitly, that's not your department. Like, if the Board of Finance is going to fund this, they're going to figure out how it's getting funded. So.
Anything additional?
What's our timeline? What things we need to do? Because this is looking to go to a town meeting.
Well, you guys were talking sometime in March, I think, that you would looking for a referendum.
I think at our last meeting, we were kind of looking to you for how this process is going to work and the timeline. But March would work well for us, I think, in terms of, would everyone agree with that? In terms of the vote?
Personally, I don't have a problem with that. I just worry that that's so close to a budget referendum that I don't want it to hamper your chances, I guess.
Mhm.
But I don't, if you did it next fall, it's still a momentum, a massive
We definitely
undertaking
would want to
to,
do it before next fall because in order for the Connecticut State Library grant to move forward, we have to demonstrate that we have all of our funding in place. So we would want that decision from the town sooner than later, since
how much, so I know that you still have things to do internally with the project managers, with Mattern and with the architect. Could you do it earlier than March?
The town vote?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the earliest you think you could do it?
Somebody just,
Everything. They're not
well,
doing-
what about,
They don't need to, they won't, I think, you won't be doing anything additional until we get past the town meeting.
right,
That's what I'm saying. From January to March, you're looking at, yeah, you still have to wait for the library to act on your application still. That's the one thing.
and that end of November.
What's that? End of this month. Okay.
Then, yeah, then we need to demonstrate we have our funding in place.
Once we have the funding. Okay. Well, let's, we'll keep talking about it. For me, in January, we usually meet with the assessor at our second meeting in January, where he goes over the grand list. And then we know, what do we have available on the, funding side. And our budgeting doesn't start until we know that. I wouldn't mind doing it on the early side of next year. Before we get in too deep into the budget. It's going to be a kind of a crazier year because we had the revow. So that's going to change the scope of certainly what the assessment's going to be. And of course, what should happen is the mill rate should drop. This because it's just, your expenses don't necessarily change on a huge amount. And if if the assessment comes in and you have all this revenue, that's not all spending money. But it just makes it a little more challenging for us to make sure that we're doing right by the taxpayers. And I think the more separation we can have between the budget referendum and your referendum, the better it's going to be for our sakes, for our psyche and mental state. And I think it would be better for you guys as far as, before people start thinking about what's it's going to cost me.
Yeah,
Just out of my pocket regularly.
right. We would also, the sooner we can demonstrate that we have funding in place, the sooner we can get started and the less delay and, we can ward off expenses going up for the project as much as possible. It's our goal.
I'm speaking for myself and, as chair, but I certainly, if you guys don't think that's a good idea, I want to hear
I guess
from you.
I'm looking at when would we vote on this and what else do we need to make the decision?
Well, I'd like everybody here.
What's the schedule?
I would like to know where the money's going to be coming from. It's going to come from the designated fund. We got bonded. I'd like to know the parameters before we just start approving stuff out there saying, yeah, we're good with it and just push it out.
Okay. We gotta figure that out.
You got to figure that out. It's going to take time.
Yeah, I would think that we should probably, move it to referendum. Maybe by the second meeting in December. Is that too late?
Referendum? That's.
We
when
have,
would
we,
vote
the
on it.
Board of Selectmen has moved it
There you go.
You hear me now?
Sue,
guys
can you
hear
hear
us?
us now?
Somebody say something.
Yes, okay.
Mike.
So, Mike, we're looking at calendars. So our next meeting is November 19th. Are you suggesting that the Board of Finance vote then to send it to referendum or in December?
I would like to say before you guys finish that we still need to hear from the school before we figure out. I think you better
I-
listen to what's coming up from the school.
I second Carl's
Whether we
concern.
gotta set some money aside to cover some stuff.
Yep.
Before we decide how much more we have to use. I'm a
I
little-
don't
I'm a
have
little
a
nervous of
problem.
what's going on
I don't
here.
have a problem with that. Let's just, we'll have an agenda item after we hear from the Board of Ed at the meeting on the 19th. We'll have an agenda item, just talk about, I think maybe the new treasurer or Sean. And maybe we need to have council talk to us about funding options. And then plan for the first meeting in December to put it to a vote. Does that
Okay.
sound okay?
So,
That would be December 3rd. So we can work on funding next meeting and vote on the 3rd. Okay?
Yes.
so the next
Bob.
meeting agenda is going to be pretty packed. Just, we have new members, Board of Ed, funding options, library discussion. So,
We're used to it.
okay.
If we need to have a special meeting at some point, we can have a special meeting. Anything further? All right, thank you so much, guys. We appreciate your answering those questions, and I think it really helped. Bob, I just had a question, like if we were to move this forward in early December, our meeting on the 3rd, could we get a referendum going for January? Yeah, mid-January. Okay. All right, thanks. And how would we find out about whether or not we could bond something like this? Can you come up to the mic? You could have left after your thing. You're still here.
Not with all this excitement, no. So I did not check on bonding. What I checked on at that time was a USDA loan, and we could not do that because we don't own the building. So we could not use a USDA loan, which we use for the school buildings. That's what I checked on. I have not checked on bonding, but when Sue Pike was still here and I asked her about it, she said, typically you don't bond for that small amount of money. Usually the town did not bond anything that was under $3 million. So, I mean, I have not checked on it, but she said it wasn't common practice to bond for something that small. But I did check on the USDA and we could not do the USDA loan.
Okay, do we have any contacts right now that we could actually, is that true, that what Susan said, or?
Yeah, I mean, Dan Spring came in around that same time and he confirmed it at that time and he's financier, but
Well, I can appreciate that would be the case to bond for $3 million because it's very expensive to go to bond. Legal fees, you know. But,
Don't look at me, I'm a judge,
but
lowly judge.
to borrow money is a different matter.
Mhm.
So that would get back to whether or not the town of North Stonington has the authority to borrow unsecured. In this case, because we don't have any assets that we're looking at. So it's whether or not the town could go to a bank And,
So, and you're gonna have to tell me bans and bonds are different, correct?
A bond is a note that's created, it's a legal document that gets sold in increments of $1,000. It's a big process. And it would, you're right, it wouldn't be worth going through all of the process to do that for $1 million. Whereas a bank could do it with very little documentation because there's no collateral. So there's no filings, it'd be pretty straightforward. If we can do, if the town has the authority to do it.
It's basically
So-
it's a note.
Just a note. just
Yeah, there's
between the
no,
town and-
there's no mortgage on nothing, no collateral, there's no UCC, there's nothing.
Right, exactly.
As Quince would have it on the November
Secure transactions,
24th.
aced it.
At the November 24th meeting, there's one of the questions is, can the Board of Selectmen take a loan for up to $1 million but it's only in it for emergency purposes. That's the
Oh,
same
does
thing
have that?
we vote on that every year. It's only for emergency purposes, if something
So
should
then-
happen.
So then in that case, then it appears you could vote to do this as a non-emergency item.
You could vote at a, probably go to a town meeting, but on the town meeting call, say, hey, we go to referendum. So we wouldn't vote at the town meeting, but discuss it at a town meeting. That could be the question. I mean, could we go for a loan for $1 million and at X interest rate, whatever that would be? But then if we're doing that and we say up to $1 million, is that up to $1 million inclusive of interest on the loan? So is it really like a $950,000 loan with interest, or? I think that would have to be worked on.
Right.
Which will be a
It's-
topic
it's
at the
simple.
next meeting.
It's yeah, right. Simple interest. So I don't know from an accounting standpoint. If the town-
I'm just saying, if we vote to say not to exceed 1 million
in
and the interest go, oh, that's a new word that we didn't use that before. So,
Just more to figure out. I mean, we need to find this stuff out.
So why don't we, on the Board of Selectmen side, see if we can do a little investigating through. I'll have Suzanne do some of that work with me, investigating different ways that we can get $1 million and what it would cost us and best ways to do that. We'll probably talk to a financial advisor on that. Okay?
Can we do that before the 19th?
November 19th, your next meeting? Okay. I have a Board of
Because
Selectmen
we
meeting.
want to just talk about our financing options before we go to vote on the 3rd of December.
I would like to also know a little bit more from the Board of Ed on,
That's why we're
Okay.
going to have that agenda item after the Board of Ed. And
okay. Thank you.
so you can prepare to be at that whole meeting the whole time. All right, well, thank you, Wheeler Library. And feel free to not have to sit around to listen to the Board of Finance policy discussion, which is the next item. John, we almost got kicked off your property last Saturday, taking pictures for homecoming. It came out great, though. All right. So if you, Lou had sent out some proposed. Okay. I just to get out of the way of the undesignated fund policy. And Lou, if you could just, I mean, it didn't look like there was any undesignated fund. And that email I sent out October 20th, if you can't find it, 10/20.
Gary went through submitted track changes, but for some reason I
I
can't.
didn't see it. I
You
didn't see
didn't, oh, you
that.
didn't get it?
I got it, and the thing,
I
It
don't
kinda
have
crashed.
a track changes from Gary.
well, I have it, but you had to go into the Word document. to
When did
view
Gary,
it
when did Gary send that out?
I,
About 5 or 6 days ago.
yeah,
I don't have an email
I
from
think
Gary.
he
I
meant
don't
to
think.
send all and you just sent it
I
to
think
Lou
you
and
did,
I.
I could forward it to, but the problem is, I printed up, but the identified changes only show up, for me anyway, when I'm looking at my phone, which is why I wanted to.
Okay,
stop it
wait,
from
when
singing.
did it come?
The 24th he sent it. Yeah, the
I-
24th.
I do not have an email from Gary
Yeah,
on the 24th.
Yeah, he didn't send it. He just sent it to Lou and I. He
Alright,
must have hit,
well-
it said hit all, he hit reply.
Oh, I get it, okay.
Do I need Gary's track changes?
What, a lot
Sure.
of it was, to be a little more specific with wording, like where I used town, he said North Stonington. But there were,
Well, okay, here's my
What I'm-
question
I'm
though.
gonna-
What
like,
can, what were
who's-
your changes?
Who's gonna edit the final version? Lou.
I'm not me. I think, well, I don't, I mean, if you want me to, I will, but.
We don't need to have it completely ironed out tonight.
Okay.
There's-
No,
Okay. So what I did, first of all, the undesignated policy that I had to work with was in a PDF format. And when I went to create a Word doc format from it, it came out all
Jumbled.
goofy. So I am.
Do you know how to OCR and
I
hit copy
can-
and paste?
I have the
I tried
original.
all that stuff and it would come up when it embedded things that you had to read. So it just didn't work.
Okay.
So I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna type it up myself. So what I tried to do with the first couple of paragraphs from the old one,
Mhm.
it was, or to just make it read a little bit in a more straightforward way. The old one, the wording seemed to have been almost taken from like a state regulation or something.
Mhm.
So I just, which, you know. it's-
Oh, it was.
Yeah, so I just, all right, and I very little.
Yeah, you drafted that.
I drafted it. I
Yeah,
have the Word
it's
doc.
Very little different here, so on that regard. And then from there,
No,
I pretty much.
it's okay.
On the undesignated fund policy, pretty much just put it into a format that gave us enough room in the document as it's printed to write in things if we want to change them. So that's the intent of this was to provide a document that we could now go through and say, where do we need to make some changes?
Okay, so you didn't make any
I
substantive
didn't
change.
make, no, I don't, no.
A lot of Gary's changes were more editorial, high level,
Yeah.
change,
On
this
the
to this.
undesignated fund.
Yeah,
So what I did do, I will say this, in the event of an undesignated fund balance, that's on the second page, on bottom. The wording on that, the existing policy is a little vague. And so
Are you in shortfall or overage?
overage, where it said, and what
Yeah,
I put in, it was for a period of, you're over for 12 consecutive months. And then the board has, within the following 12 months, needs to reduce the undesignated fund as.
Can we
always
start
have.
from the beginning and talk about edits or comments from the beginning?
Yeah, well, no, what I identified was just the one thing that.
That you did
make-
change? Okay. I did notice that. Okay.
here,
So that was
Other
the
than
only
that-
change you actually made? Was within the following 12 months?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the only one that I noticed.
Everything else is.
The same,
pretty much,
basically.
yeah.
What do you mean? You changed that or you?
He added
Yeah,
that.
I added that wording just to clarify, because in the existing one, the wording is that if we have an overage, we have to deal with it within 12 months. And so, but there's no designations to, we find out we have an overage in February. Okay, we have 12 months from February. So what I said was, the overage has to be in existence for 12 months, and then we have 12 months to get rid of it. That's just my suggestion.
As a,
So you end up with 24 months to deal with it.
Exactly.
which is, I guess, a good policy to give you, so, that amount of time.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we can't do what we just did and say, we know we're gonna have an overage, let's get rid of it in the next, before the next budget even starts.
Exactly.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we have that flexibility.
Flexibility. It's just, that's, the parameters are, now it gives you 24 months.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, the Gary edit Word doc. Now.
Let me see if I can.
You can't pull it up on there. You have
No,
to
no,
have
I can't.
it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
So do you have to wait for it to be 12 months before you can do anything?
No.
Then
that's
there
what
should
we
be,
just-
there should be a word or some type of wording in that first line.
So can we start from the beginning or no?
Yeah, yeah.
Or no? Mike,
What's that?
can we start from the beginning of this policy or no? Or are we just gonna start in the middle?
Sure.
I've got, just so we know, I've got Gary's recommended changes here, because now I can see them in red. I couldn't deal with it, but now I can. So.
I don't want, listen, as far as this discussion goes, again, I would like all of us here and, maybe we wait until the new board is sat, where we discuss, kind of what the change, how we're, how they're reading without necessarily changing the policy. We've had a long meeting already.
Right.
And I feel like maybe the meeting of one second.
So what if you were to send out the original, what he's got now,
I just
send out the second one that
Already did it.
has the updates in it?
Already did it.
Okay, I don't have it.
Wait, what did you do?
And then wait, we can table it and wait till we have everybody here.
Yeah, the 17th of December, we have a meeting, we're gonna do a lot before that. It'd be a good time to say, all right, this is, with a side by side and say, this is what the language needs to be. But so you changed the original as far as the statement at the very beginning, that's changed from what was the original, because it seemed the same, but
Well,
Yeah, oh,
I
it
tried
is.
to maintain the intent of those. I just changed a little bit of the wording.
He made it more
Um,
concise.
okay, I like that.
And then, except for the overage, I put that in. And again, it was just my suggestion.
What I would suggest, and this is to Carl's point, maybe at the,
Mike, we can put Lou's version next to Dan's original and do a compare doc.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
Oh,
we
yeah.
can just bring up track changes up on here. You're gonna see it.
Not
He-
because his is a
Yeah,
PDF.
but Gary took yours, isn't,
Yep.
and incorporated the changes, and then did his changes on top of that.
But we don't have
Yeah, we-
Lou's
no,
track
she's
changes.
saying we don't have
Oh.
the original one.
Like the original one, I have that one.
Can we not
Wait.
just print them up?
Yeah, we
Okay,
can
you
do that.
guys can figure out how to track two versions of changes onto one document and provide that again.
No, I'm not gonna.
Okay.
But if we just have, will it be okay with everyone here if we just print the original document that we're operating now?
correct?
We have that printed, and then next to that, we can have the one that I did,
Mhm.
and the one that Gary did.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
fine.
just have that, we can just go from there.
Can you just,
And then just assume that nobody else has comments or edits.
No. it's
No,
not around to
make the
everybody, and
comments.
It's gonna be the basis of conversation. If you wanna edit now, ahead of time, that would be even better.
Okay.
I'm not worried.
I'm not gonna take your slop and put it again into a fourth document, Lou,
My-
sorry. So, no, I'm not gonna do that, but if you guys want to figure out how to take Dan's Word document and take your PDF and stick it into a Word document, compare those two docs, and then take Gary's and slam them together with the track changes, you can figure that out. It's not that big of a deal. I don't have Gary's and I don't have Dan's.
I just sent it out.
You just have. you
I
have
just
to
sent
now-
Gary's out.
I don't have yours in a Word file.
Did you see?
I'll send mine in a Word file.
That's what I sent out as a Word file, not a PDF file.
Can we tone down?
Why are we sending files to certain members of the board and not others?
I
Mike?
don't
So,
know.
well-
I'm not,
Not everybody is so up to date on Word or with everyone else. Hey, it's Microsoft 365. Things get dropped off. Apologies.
Well, just to be, but to be clear, I sent it to Mike, and Mike. thought-
I forwarded it to everybody.
He sent it to everybody.
Well, I didn't get
that's how I
anything
got
from
it.
Gary.
Well,
But
Nor did
can't-
I. So I'm
So-
not,
I can't help that.
this is the first discussion on it.
Gary
Well,
probably
it's
meant
gonna
to
be
send.
awfully hard to look at
Here's
three
the thing,
files, and
there's
then other
also-
people.
There's also 2 Board of Finance groups inside of our email message, and over the last 3 years, I've been trying to get it down to 1. So he probably hit the wrong one and it didn't go out to everybody.
Oh, and then we have to get a new one for next week.
Oh, so like Mike
Yeah,
said, can we
okay.
just
It's
not,
fine,
it's
but
not.
don't put it
interfering.
on me to
I'm not-
fix it. I just don't want to
Never
have,
said you were gonna be put on you to fix it.
I
right.
don't, we don't.
I asked 3 times if we were looking at the middle of the document and we were focused on that. I asked if we could start at the beginning and the answer was no, but we were focused on the middle of the document.
As
So
far
was
as I
just
know,
wondering.
there was changes at the beginning that made it more concise. Then the only other change that, I'm just talking about Lou's. I don't have Gary's. I can't speak to it.
But
And
I,
if,
I think there's a number of word changes throughout Lou's.
did you change more than the beginning and,
I wish I had a print up of the PDF. That is our current undesignated fund policy, but I don't have that. Honestly, the way I thought we were gonna do this was just take what I did as a suggestion.
that's all they are right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all it is.
it's a working document.
And have it next to the other one and our existing one.
We could bring up the original, put up on the thing, and everybody just say, I like this, I like this, I don't like this, I want to do this. We can do it however we want.
So Dan, where's your original Word file?
My original Word file is sitting on the desktop of my computer. at
Okay, so
home.
you did not send that.
No,
No,
Okay,
No, we
that's
did
that's
not.
what you just said.
no, he did not. He said he just sent it to
I sent the Gary version that he had,
the Gary.
the Gary version out to everybody.
All right, so once we have Gary's suggestions, if anyone else has any suggestions, feel free to mark it up however you want, and we can talk about it in January. My suggestion would be with your, for a period of 12 consecutive months, shall within the following 12 months reduce, and then have something after what you can do with it. Just like an asterisk, nothing in this paragraph prevents the Board of Finance from acting at any time when they determine that there's going to be an overage, something to that effect.
So this is why I wanted to talk about this, because the annual review section comes after this provision later, which states that you're not even looking at it until January 1st. So the order of these provisions really should be switched around in this document that says that you're going to actually look at this on January 1st, which sets the timetable for the 12 months and then starts the marking period for the first 12 months and then the following 12 months.
I don't agree with that. I think that period says that we have to look at the undesignated fund at least once a year.
it says the limit shall be reviewed annually no later than January 1st of each year.
Correct.
And that it's based upon the annual audit, which typically takes place at the end of the year, right?
It does. It's actually
So
hasn't
wouldn't,
been finished before January 1st in the last
so wouldn't
4
the
years.
timing then set the period of when you're going to do the measure?
Well, the other thing you could do is it'll be reviewed at least annually. No later, so that way you could do it throughout the year.
Correct. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
After tonight, I did have, and with some of the conversation we've had with the school, one of the things that's not in here that I think maybe we should consider adding is this 2 12-month periods. If there's significant issue pending, that we see it coming, that we can waive that.
waive the review.
Waive the necessity to reduce a fund. If we, what I put here is just waive the above if pending actions could impact that fund level. Just so that we wouldn't be required to lower it, knowing full well in 14 months from now, there's this thing coming. A lawsuit, something, you know, if there's a pending lawsuit that we could see significant, that kind, just something like that to, so it's not ironclad that we have to reduce that.
Chose the wrong one, of course. Chose the wrong Board of Finance
Oh,
group.
So I mean, the one that I wrote for the undesignated fund was just to provide a platform to talk about it. That's all that meant to be. And the other thing was that I had asked for us to come up with a policy to fund not-for-profits. And so that I did write up.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, so that's the difference.
All right. Did you add or is the language in right after undesignated fund policy? This is the town of North Stoughton undesignated fund policy is designed da. And the second one is maintain adequate reserves readily available for appropriation if unforeseen expenditures or revenue shortfalls occurs caused by economic downturns, natural disasters, or other extenuating circumstances after the adoption of the annual budget. Because I just, Gary had made several points about, are we using the undesignated fund as the policy is written? I think that extenuating circumstances covers those languages when we do appropriations after the annual budget. When they come to us, I think that section covers that. Is there anything else that's just one other thing that do we need to add or detract anything?
No, I think the language, in my opinion, handles that.
Okay.
I think-
All right, so do we want to try to have someone at town print out those? Are we printing out them ourselves?
If you'd like, I can take that and I'll use the photocopy machine. Now, the existing policy was signed off by the town treasurer and the Board of Selectmen. It was agreed to by all parties.
Should get this school to sign off to.
I don't have it in front, I mean, it's on the town website. It's on our page. You can look at it anytime. We probably should have that original and then whatever changes anyone else wanted, just so we can add what we want or not add what we want and come up with a final version in December. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, on to the not-for-profit policy. Everyone get a copy of that in the email I sent? Anyone? I mean, the only thing that is, when you say the town will consider making a donation to not-for-profits providing, I don't, no problem with making sure that they sent in all the reference items. I mean, as far as the salaries and where the funds can be used, I just don't know how you monitor that.
This is a discussion because the intent here was that the money that the town gave wouldn't go to cover a significant portion of an organization's pay. And the third item, not to be used for salaries of officers or trustees, those are two items that are not unusual with funds that are making endowments that are making donations to not-for-profits that don't want to see all of their money go. The intent here is that you don't want your contribution to go to overhead. You want it to go to the beneficiaries of the not-for-profit, the people receiving the benefit. So this is the 20% of the expenses. There's nothing magic there. It's just that something that you want to put in to collar that kind of thing. Because
And when you say officers, are you talking about like the people that are on the board?
right? But they
Of
should,
most nonprofits they don't get paid on the board.
that's exactly right.
Correct.
And officers and trustees tend not to be. And but that doesn't mean
Officers meaning
president
of the board?
of the board.
I have no problem with that, as long as we're talking about the board,
That's
not the director.
the executive director, which is exactly why a not-for-profit has a non-board member serving as an executive director. That's where the funds go to let the organization run.
That's okay. I have no
That's
problem.
the-
That's
that's
what
the
I was like. I
response.
mean, how, it's gonna go to pay people to be able to provide services. It's
Right, but it's
the board, I completely agree with
Yeah.
that.
that's,
Having been on a board and never received a cent
yeah, it's.
and served as president for 7 years and didn't get paid. It's kind of like being a selectman around here,
It costs you.
not first selectman, obviously. Makes a big dough.
Yeah.
Brian wants to pay you more.
So That's all it's intended to do, is to just kind of call it that kind of thing.
Yeah, with that clarification, I don't have, I just need to be more like, when you say trustees, it's just rather be like board members, trustees, or,
Yeah.
non-operational
Mhm.
oversight.
Yeah, the people
Staff.
doing the work, that's different.
Correct. Okay, all right.
Is this policy going to be for us to review or set up so the Board of Selectmen? As I believe the Board of Selectmen decide who on what line item.
I think this has to be in
Yes.
conjunction with the Board of
Conjunction,
Selectmen.
okay. Because right now, I believe they have in their budget, they decide what they want to give each one and who they do or not want to give to.
And they're gonna have to collect all this information, make sure that
Information
they're,
to do, okay.
they're even on the
Yeah.
budget request. So,
Yeah,
did you get a copy of this? Bob? Okay,
I would say it would work in tandem with their board, and they would gather it, they would review it, and then we would get that as a courtesy copy to review also.
So that we can ask questions, okay.
It would be in that
Yeah, I
binder,
didn't want to
correct?
eliminate them and I didn't want one of us, it should be a collaboration between the two.
yes,
And
come on.
as he makes his way up there, I only did this because of the recent events, and I said, we don't have a policy. Let's get a policy.
So let me just tell you how we do it now, and then I'm going to tell you what we hope to be doing in the near future. So as we get now, and you all have copies, since we started this, giving you all our copies started, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and we even created a book last year.
Yeah.
Anyone who's already in our budget, and it's been in our budget in the past, sends us a letter saying, usually, thank you so much. We'd like to be in your budget again this year for this amount of money. We don't always give them that amount of money. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's less. But they always send a letter with it that you see that it tells us everything they did with the money from the previous year. So we have a lot of longstanding 501c3s that are on the budget. If they do not send me a letter asking for money, we don't automatically just put them back in at the same number. They don't get money. There's 2 ways they don't get money. One, if they don't ask for it. And then after the budget passes and they don't request for me to send it, I don't send it. So there's 2 ways not to get your money. Don't ask for it, and then don't ask for us to send it. Because we need 2 letters from you. But typically, if you're on the budget, you tell us what you did with the money we gave you last year, and then we make a decision as a Board of Selectmen and give you copies. So you see those people in the line item. What I'd like to do, and it was actually a suggestion of Winona, is it Winona or Winona?
Winona.
Thank you, because I was sure. So Winona's told us that we should have our new social services / human services director be directly involved in this, and I agree. So once we set up that department, which we hope to be set up for by March, then I will sit down with that person, he or she, and get recommendations from them, because they may say that, yeah, there's a nonprofit you're working with now, but there's a better one that can do more for the town of North Stonington down the road. And I'd like to see that nonprofit take the place of the one we're already supporting. We typically don't support 2 nonprofits that do the same thing. Everyone does something a little bit different. So we have Always Home, Safe Futures, and so on. So that's what we'd like to do, is incorporate that input from our new social services director with the Board of Selectmen to give us some guidelines, because it might be someone they've dealt with in the past. And if they got a better person that can do more for our town, we'd be glad to take that advice. So obviously not 501c3s like the fire company and the ambulance and so on, but the typical, the ones that we usually talk about.
On a couple of occasions, we've heard not the ambulance and not the fire department. Now, I know we own the equipment, the building, and all of that, but I do find it interesting why we wouldn't require them to do some of these things, like give us a copy of their 999.
And you can, when they come and talk to the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen, Lou, you can ask that question. If yes, we'd like to see that. And that's not an unreasonable ask if you're asking me.
Yeah, but the first words out of their mouth is going to be, where is it required? And we could just say, point to this policy, correct me if I'm wrong, Lou. We could point to this policy saying this is the requirement.
If we come up with a policy and we can agree as 2 boards on it, I don't mind if we adopt the same policy and we use that.
Well,
I just sent it to you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good start, and I appreciate you putting the time in, Lou. And we'll continue discussion before we get probably early January.
Well, when did the board of selectmen go out for the asks? Or when did they start receiving asks from the 901, 501?
Around then. If we can get this voted on and moved on the 17th of December, that'd be great.
Can he support that?
If we had policies in place, do you think we could get this done by the 17th of December?
I personally want this part of this year's budget.
When do you get, I guess the question is, when would you start to get requests from not-for-profits for money?
So we usually start getting requests sometime around the middle of January through February.
So you want to have it prior to?
Would it be practical? to have it
Well,
before
yeah,
then?
but we don't have our first meeting when the Board of Selectmen to actually, our first budget meeting to see what's going into the budget or not until after that. So if we get it done by the middle of January, we're fine. If we, I don't see, I mean, if you want us to get it done by December, that's fine.
I think that first meeting in January, we could.
I think we would shoot for December.
Right,
Because
because
you
I think
never
what you
know
guys
what-
are looking for is to send that policy
Correct.
to them people so that they know it's coming
Yeah.
before they send it.
Yeah,
actually.
I
think
would
that's
say
what they're
this
looking
is,
for.
this is to support the budget. However, it's not a part of the budget. You would want to see this to go out as a part of, hey, you've been a part of, our budget process for years on end. Here's the new requirement. So we're not getting this stuff like, oh, well, we're not gonna be able to get this to you for another month because we have to dig up all this information.
So I can send out whatever the policies we adopt with a cover letter. That's not a problem. And then we may, once we get the social services department in place, maybe not for this coming budget, but for the following year, have that person, because they're gonna have a lot on their plate when they first start, incorporate that the following year.
And it can be a living document. It can always be changed a little bit, it's not that big of a deal.
Okay,
Good?
yeah, let's try to have things ironed out on the 17th. On to minutes. We have, we have minutes that Amy sent out on October 25th for our August 6th, 2025 meeting. I wasn't at that meeting, so just take a look at it, guys, and
Which minutes are we looking at?
we're looking at the minutes of 8/6/2025.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I chaired.
When did you send those?
That was an email sent on October 25th.
I do not have an email from her on October 25th.
Wait, no, 29th, 10/29.
The email from her on October 29th has minutes from
Yeah,
October 15th and October 1st.
You don't? Oh. Any of those, are they the minutes from 8/6?
Nope, I have 10/1 and 10/15.
All right, give me a second.
8/6 was the one that Carl did, right?
Both of these minutes from 10/1 and 10/15 are supposed to be reviewed tonight.
Did we already approve the ones from 8/6 probably? Because she just sent it to me and Antoinette. Wait a
Carl, what
minute,
was the minutes you did?
You had sent it,
I sent mine to her, I haven't heard back yet.
It's June 18th.
Mine are June 18th.
hold
Wait.
on, just one
I
second.
think I sent it to all you guys, whoever's in my list.
Yeah.
Were mine 8/6?
Yours were
We
8/6.
already approved those.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, she was just sending them to Antoinette.
Yeah.
I
So this-
apologize.
So 10-1 and 10-15 are the ones we were supposed to review tonight. And
Okay.
then
Yep.
Carl,
Yep.
Yeah,
so 10-1.
Got
Are the first one.
Got it.
Approve 10-1 minutes. As read.
second,
So wait,
Any-
so Carl,
Yep. Carl, motion, Dan, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain. I wasn't here.
Okay. Motion passes 4-1,
4-0-1.
4-0-1. All right, 10-15.
Motion to accept the minutes for 10-15 as presented.
second,
So I believe the vote on that should be 4-2-0.
yes.
4 yes, 2-0 no, 0 abstentions.
I agree.
On these minutes?
On
Yeah.
the 10-15 minutes, it says
Yeah.
4-0-2,
For the
it
giving
sounds
clause.
like item 5.
Okay, so item 5 needs amended.
Yeah. Just to read 4-2-0.
The vote amend the 4-2-0.
Correct.
Oh, that, okay, so that was the vote for the given closet.
Correct.
Oh, correct, okay, so. All right,
Vote to approve the minutes from 10-15 as amended.
Second,
I think you got too many votes.
now, there were 6 people seated that night.
6 people seated, not 5.
6,
There were
Who'd you have?
6.
1, 2,
You're missing.
3, 4,
According to the
5,
minutes up
6.
top, there's Mike, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't see that.
There
Yeah.
were 6 people seated.
Yeah,
That was the vote. Okay, so now we're going to vote as amended. So Carl, are you gonna make the?
I already did.
Already did.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
did
seconded.
and Dan
So
seconded.
Mike
As amended.
and Dan, you second?
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Make a
Aye.
motion to accept the meeting minutes from 6:18 as written.
Second?
Wait, I don't know if I have it.
They're in an email. They're in Carl's email from
That's June 18th,
June
not 10-18.
no, June 18th, sorry, amended.
Wait, what, from where? What date?
November 3rd.
No, it's on November 3rd.
What is it?
It was from
Monday?
June 18th.
Stop.
The minutes from June 18th,
Yeah,
When
it
is
was
the
emailed to
email?
us on Monday the
3rd.
3rd.
correct.
Yes.
I can't see what I can.
See,
I do not have an email from Carl on Monday the 3rd.
why did? Because, oh wow, the whole half the board didn't get it.
Yeah,
That's weird. See, there are 365 gremlins.
so you just have to put BOF and it should, everyone should be on there. Not, don't,
Well, because I take each one.
no, there'll be.
No,
If you
no.
have BOF, it goes to everybody.
Bob, can we get somebody from IT to also delete the one that does not work for the Board of Finance?
Okay.
Since they're gonna have
so
to add him.
Can you just quickly?
I'm
send
gonna
it-
forward that to you right
Send it to
now.
me and I'll read
What?
it quickly.
Winona, I'll send it to you right now.
There's one that works and one that doesn't work. They're gonna have to update it anyways, to put Ed
That's what I was
McGowan
working
on.
when you called.
Okay, so just give me 1 second to read it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's, Mike, you lost the attachment, buddy, try again.
There's no attachment.
No,
It's in the body of the email.
it's in the body of the email,
Yeah, it's the actual email.
Carl.
He doesn't know how to use Word.
I
Actually-
didn't want you to do it.
You weren't here.
Why did you send the Word doc?
Hey, Ed, you want to reconsider? Okay.
Ed has already agreed to be the secretary. Gary's the secretary.
The newest guy in.
Okay, hold on.
It's like the union.
Oh, for crying out loud. Okay.
Maybe we should hire somebody.
Was I even at this meeting? No, so I can, I.
No, you
abstained
weren't.
anyway, So,
Sarah
Like-
wasn't here,
like-
you weren't here,
okay, so June 8th, June
June
8th,
18th.
June 18th?
Yeah.
June 18th.
2025. Okay, so who's making the motion?
I made the motion.
Dan Smith,
Second.
Carl Johnson.
Your minute.
Yeah, you can
Huh?
do
You
that.
can do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Or something like that.
See, there you
You
go.
can start doing the minutes.
Yeah.
So if somebody teaches me how to use a phone. it'd be
Not
better.
it.
All right,
Well, not him.
Yeah, these are the long lost minutes.
Yeah. I think we're
I
up to
think he's
date.
going to be
Okay.
much better at secretary now that
Yeah.
he's learned this.
I cannot wait till you. send
All,
this to
any further
Antoinette.
discussion on that, those minutes?
Who's gonna, Amy's gonna send them to Antoinette, like that?
Wow.
You cut and paste them onto something.
If she, well, I sent it to her first.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Me,
Can I- Can I ask
401.
one more question?
no.
It has nothing to do with minutes.
Oh,
Sure.
Has to do with the secretary.
401.
401. So, okay, is that, we're good on minutes then?
We're good on minutes.
Okay,
Is there any way for us to look ahead for somebody to take minutes all the time?
If during the budget process, we want to consider upping our budget to have a paid secretary, is that what you mean?
A scribe.
Why don't you put that down in the minutes for the December 17th meeting?
When I do that?
It's not on the agenda.
You're gonna make her angry.
I would like everyone to consider, and it's up for discussion at our December 3rd meeting, whether we want to have a board member keep taking minutes or an alternate taking minutes, or hiring somebody to do minutes.
We got one right there.
I'll think about that and maybe expand that to somebody that knows how to do this thing.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
I guess I'm taking minutes.
You're gonna have a
No,
degree from MIT and it's gonna cost us 6 figures. But
All right. Just think about it.
I mean, we would have to figure out how much that costs us.
Oh, I know.
I don't know. Doesn't Bob have somebody that takes minutes? now? Do you have somebody that takes minutes for you? Oh, how can we do that?
Why don't you just inquire with her if if she would consider that as a side gig? You can report to us back on the 12-3 meeting. You can attend that meeting too.
Yeah.
All right, public comment. Brian.
Not so much a comment as it is, I'm a little confused on the, yes, the undesignated fund when we're talking about holding it for 24 months.
It just, it's,
I know it's just a tort thing.
well, the policy would be, it just gives us more latitude to say if there's a situation where we see that it's above the 17% for more than
Mhm.
12 months, we have to act within the next 12 months. That's to make sure that the Board of Finance does act on that overage.
Right.
Makes us, but it gives us a little leeway to say, all right, we know that this might fluctuate because it may have an appropriation here or something come up here. If it goes for 12 months, we have to act within the next 12 months. That could be shortened to 6 months or whatever. It doesn't, and then I think my addendum was, it doesn't preclude us from using those funds as we see fit, but well before the 12 months,
Right.
which is what we just did.
But I heard 24 months mentioned and I'm thinking, gee, can they keep taxpayer money? I mean, if you have an overage of 700,000 and the town just keeps taxpayer money for,
It's not
2
telling you
years?
when, we don't have to wait the 12 months.
right.
It's just-
I don't know why
it's
you
just-
would want to extend it, that's all.
It's a window, it's just saying that we have, that's our policy is we cannot certainly hold the taxpayers' money. If there's been an overage for over 12 months, we have to get rid of it within the next 12.
Okay, so the 24 is just talk right now.
The 24 is just the 12
Just-
on top of the 12.
Yeah.
Oh,
If it stays there for 12 months, we have to do something.
Actually, this is a good thing because it prevents us from kicking the can down the road.
well, to me, it just keeps taxpayer money for extra. I don't know what they're gonna do with it.
The reason I said 24 is because it's over 24. But if it was, in a way, it would work that way, is if it came in on the first, January 1st, the first year, and we were over,
Mhm.
and we were over for the next 11 months, we would have 11, 12 months to get rid of it. Not saying that we would, but it gives us the window that we know something's coming up that we have to pay for, that we don't, it gives us a little bit of leeway. It's probably never gonna happen in full 24 months. It's gonna happen right at budget season when we need the money to pay down and drop some items. Or like we did, we held it for almost a year now, almost 14 months, right?
Yeah.
And we decided we're gonna give it back to the taxpayer by paying down some debt. So it just gives us enough leeway that if we know something's coming up, that like he said, a lawsuit coming up that we're gonna have to pay money, but it's not just here right now, we're gonna hold on to that to make sure we have it covered. That a little better understanding or
A little bit.
a little bit? Okay.
I gotta think about it more anyways. But when I heard that number, I said, oh my God, if there's an overage and they're gonna hold it for 24 months, gee, I wish I could do that.
Well, the kicker on the first 12 months, the reason that's in there is that if we're over the designated number, 17.5%, January and then February, we look at it and we say, all right, if we're over it, we got to give the money back in 12 months. But then if in March, there's expenditures that puts that number well below the 17%, we don't do anything because there isn't an overage to return.
Right.
That's why there's that catch.
Okay,
And maybe to Winona's point that rather than that January 1st date, you do it the fiscal year, because you don't know what's happening that year that could take you back under that 17%.
or it could make it
So-
higher,
What's that?
or it could make it higher.
Or it
The
can make it
next
higher.
year.
Then you have to act within 12 months if it's been that way for 12 months.
And the other thing I wanted to mention was, I know there's a lot of 501s around. And I think you really got to take a look at them. Well, mostly it's the Board of Finance that got to look at them. I mean, Board of Selectmen. I'll catch one of them. Because the people in businesses in town are paying taxes just to try to make a living. But 501, could come up here, you could get a bunch of them, because you just recently had one last year, it was a nightmare for you guys. And if you get a bunch of them coming in, I think you really got to look at them and figure, who's paying those taxes? Because a 501, I believe, don't pay the taxes.
They don't.
So, but the money they get is tax money by a business or people that are trying to make a living, and that's why they're in business, just trying to make a living. So now they got to consider, oh boy, they're going to take that money and give it, maybe just give it to somebody like I've seen done. And I think you owe more to the businesses at this point. And that's it.
I think it's important having a policy. I know the Board of Selectmen already have requirements that Bob spoke about tonight, and I think we're just trying to add to that where, if you're going to even ask for money from this town, you better have your ducks in a row.
Yeah, well, I just wonder if they can ask how much they have in their accounts. Because I'm sure a lot of your 501s have accounts
I'm sorry.
from donations, from people that in their heart want to donate to that. Then they get the money. But if they don't have it in, it makes it a little raw for somebody to take money out of my pocket and give it to maybe some organization I really don't want to donate to. You see what I'm saying on that? Or no? I'm not a big giver, believe me. Anyways, that's what I think that's got to be kept in mind for the
Understood.
businesses in town that are, actually trying to make a living or supplement their income. And, I'm not going to get a 501 just not to pay taxes. I pay my taxes, but I'm just nervous that can become I don't know what you want to call it, but I'll be really careful on it.
Understood.
Okay, thank
Yep,
you.
thanks for your comments. Anybody else in the audience? I just, I'm gonna make my own public comment that now that we have the election yesterday and we have people that are moving on and no longer serving in their various roles, just want to thank them for the service, the Mastrianis, Sean Murphy for great work as treasurer. And Amy Friend on this board did a fantastic job as secretary for us for so long. And welcome to the new people that are serving in town, John Gaccione and Mr. McGowan, Eddie. And but just thank you. I'm sure they're missing people that were on other various boards, but we're all volunteers and we appreciate everything that you did. Any other comment online?
Motion adjourned.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 9:12, Winona.